Alright, Ollie, how's it going, mate?
How do?
Alright, boys.
How you doing, lads?
Very, very good. Very, very good.
Nick and Eagle.
Excellent. Excellent. You're set to go, Ollie?
Let me just... Did it wrestle Summerslam 98?
Yeah.
Yeah, it suggested when I loaded it up, a conversation with Triple H and Lemmy, so I was just like, yeah, fuck, I'll watch that.
No worries.
So hopefully, judging by what we've done with ECW, they'll bring back Lemmy as well.
Yeah. We'll bring back X-Pac at the mere 50-year-old.
So yeah, I'm ready whenever you boys are.
Yep.
Sure.
Oh. No worries.
I suppose showing an order.
Did anyone catch clips from that 25th anniversary of Triple H show that they did earlier on? It was hilarious. I mean, it's kind of fitting, isn't it, that for Triple H's celebration they did a ceremony where nobody was there.
That's me good to go.
Right, sure. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Bingo. There we go. Oh, the old logo.
Can't remember since I've watched this one. I'm going to have to unfollow Kane on Twitter.
Is it just libertarian nonsense?
Well, yeah, but also at the same time, the guy who used to set people on fire is every day. He's like, yeah, 19 people have coronavirus. I can't imagine his Twitter account's like a riot.
No.
It's just so normal.
I can't believe how scrumptious this promo music is. Like, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but there's something about that over-the-top 90s. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. It's always good to see signs in the crowd as well.
Jesus.
The one thing I hate about this era is Jerry Lawler being dressed like a hotel usher from porno.
I was going to say, with Kane's Twitter feed being bad, at least it's not Val Venis's. I mean, his is just insufferable.
I was about to say, I don't follow Val Venus on Twitter, but I can just imagine what it's like.
I've only heard the drama, like, he's very, very libertarian and transphobic. He got his selling a bit of hot water recently. You know how, I think it was AEW gave their women's title to a trans woman, and of course, he had to mouth up. He couldn't help himself, could he?
He just saw that open goal and just...
Yeah.
It also upsets me that 90s Val Venus looks like 90s Triple H as well.
I missed that old entrance. They always got Madison Square Garden and I love because of that.
Could they not get people to like open the gates for them? Such an underrated belt design.
Yeah.
Ah, love it. I forgot just how jacked Val Venus was round about the 90s. Like, he's huge.
I thought I didn't mind Val Venus that much.
Nah, I think he was mostly on Heat. That show they did. I don't think he actually did that many Raws or SmackDowns.
I think he did the Raws, but I can't remember SmackDown.
Yeah, I mainly remember him on Heat, and just at like pay-per-views with Right to Censor.
With the most annoying theme song of all time.
I quite liked Heat. He was the program. I mean, I think it was Heat. Superstars, maybe.
Yeah, they had Raw, SmackDown. They had Heat. They had Velocity, which was green SmackDown. It's incredible.
I might watch a match one time. It was a Hardy Boy versus Edge and Christian before the Hardy Boys were on the main roster, basically.
Yeah,
it was essentially supposed to be like a
kind of developmental
squash match, basically. But Edge and Christian let them have a decent match, and it was fucking cracking. That was when the Hardy Boys were still wearing their checker stuff.
Oh yeah, let's say, what did you make of the clip of the guy like doing the big somersault over the rope and landing on the metal girdle?
It's one of those, I just kept watching it.
It's
like
incredible.
Every time it's the same outcome, but you just like...
It never gets any less painful to watch though. Like, it's still, that bump just dung.
You can just feel it, and you can see him like starts like pants, and it's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I mean, the guy to his left must have felt like the biggest fucking idiot in the world. Like, yeah. But what was the best case scenario there?
I don't know. Maybe not. How his back smashed into 1,000 pieces.
I think this was only one of two SummerSlams that actually had subtitles. I think this one was SummerSlam Highway to Hell, and I think the 1997 one was SummerSlam Heart and Soul. But obviously Heart was spelled H-A-R-T.
The poster for that one for 97 was a cracker.
Oh yeah, but it was Brett and he had the big shadow of the Undertaker behind him. I think this one had quite a good poster as well. It was Stone Cold and Undertaker, and they were fighting with like the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. That was good.
Yeah, the posters used to be really good. That's the same for everything. Films and all that as well. Everything just kind of lost engineering.
Yeah, like all the kind of new pay-per-view advertisements, they've all got that kind of Marvel thing where it's like how many characters can we fit into the one.
The colour scheme's always the same. It's that kind of orange and teal.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing I'm most disconnected from like modern day WWE, because it was pretty much written into law that you'd have like Backlash and Unforgiven and No Mercy, and now it's just like, because obviously I don't follow it, I don't see exactly what's going on. In this case, it's Summerslam '69 in April, and it's like, what? No.
Well, did they not bring back War Games just to spite AEW?
Yeah.
They brought back War Games a while ago.
Oh, was it?
It was. It's been only been on NXT. But for a while, it was a couple of years ago at least, I would say.
Nah, I decided to listen to that Brody Lee, the guy who basically had the redneck gimmick on that Talk Is Jericho, and he was basically talking about WWE's entire approach now is they'll sign people even if they don't plan on doing anything with them so that they can't go elsewhere.
Jesus Christ.
It's so scummy.
They were offering him like crazy money just to stay in the house.
But like, for Brody Lee? Like, what's the...
He was a weird one because the fans really liked him. He was decent, and I don't know what the issue they had with him was just weird.
I don't like guys who are over 6'9" wrestling in a t-shirt. Like, to my idea, like, if you're going to be that kind of giant, you should be presented as like the big kind of Bruiser Brody type. I don't get the idea of putting a big guy in spandex. That's just laughable.
No, you need to have a singlet at best.
Yeah.
Preferably an over-the-shoulder, one titty out style thing like Andre the Giant and Big Show.
Did you enjoy that video I did earlier on where it was the Big Show tipping over the truck interspliced with Giant Baby?
Oh, that's
That was the first time I could tell you, well...
Oh man, that Giant Baby.
It's dimes. Absolute dimes.
He's watched that.
What,
He's watched that Big Show thing.
where he tips over the Jeep?
No, just the show in general.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, no, I remember like when it's got that kind of Big Bang Theory production design with sitcoms that I just really took against, and I tried listening to it for the first couple of minutes to see if the material was on par. But is the first joke in the series not about it looks like if Celine Dion ate a barrel of Celine Dion's or something like that? They're like some weird throwaway bit of dialogue at the start where I just thought no, I can't go with this.
I was about to say after 6 weeks, I'm still not that bored.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, through his Instagram and that Mick Foley and that and Rikishi was on it, so I thought, okay, well, I'll watch that scene. That scene's the best thing in it, and that, even then, that's still crushing.
So that regarding the lockdown, actually, I think it's actually flying in.
Well, yeah, I suppose. This is going on far too long.
Aye, isn't it?
Keep it short and
It's not
sweet.
a bad match, it's just no really did anything.
Suppose they really didn't have much of a luchador division at this point. This was still WCW's thing, so it wasn't like they could just fire out two masks guys.
That's true. Oh, I'm so hungover today, by the way. I was up at 4 in the morning drinking Jack Daniels,
Oh my god.
watching Metallica videos on YouTube.
Look at that baldness. Good lord.
Jesus.
He's like Frank from Shameless.
Aye. I just photoshopped that.
That was worse than Mickles. It just HBK my shit up, fam.
Again, that's another thing that just really jars me, that Shawn Michaels is bald and has one eye.
Well, that's karma for Vader, isn't it?
Yeah, never stopped him.
I thought it was quite funny that a couple of weeks ago they were talking about how like Kane was one of the safest workers that they had. I mean, it was him that did it. Ironically, that was good.
Just realised both these guys are the same finishing moves.
Sorry, what was it, Tommy?
Both referees guy for the finish move, didn't they?
Yeah.
Big splash.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose D'Lo's got that running powerbomb as well.
This must have been like the biggest year in company history. Surely. If it wasn't 99, it must have been this.
I think it'd be 98, aye.
Aye.
This has been Turn the Tide.
Uh-huh.
WWF.
Aye. Well, I remember I was reading that James Dixon book, Titan Shattered or something like that. It was the kind of the series he did about it, and it was quite funny. The buy rate for WrestleMania 13 was 250,000, and the buy rate for WrestleMania 14 was 750,000.
Yeah.
Business is about to pick up, as JR would say.
Did you listen to the something to wrestle with? Talking about Val Venus.
I think I can. I mean, again, I've watched a lot of the episodes. I'm trying to remember a lot about Val Venus. Was there any juicy tidbits? Or?
No, I can remember actually. It was just quite. Some bits were quite funny. Like Bruce talking about shooting the vignettes by Jenna Jameson. He says, and wife's like, "What did Jenna Jameson do?" You still get as many ringside photographers as that?
I'm trying to remember the last time I actually saw them.
No, that's just cross my mind there.
I just realised the gates are supposed to be the gates of hell. That's took me embarrassingly long amount of time to do on them.
I'm pretty sure they just got them off Vince's drive.
Yeah, probably.
Just seeing that big ass scratchy logo makes me so happy. Lay him in, Val.
I always thought Val Venus' splash was pretty shy.
I thought it was going to be a diving headbutt for some reason. I can't explain why. I was keeping him away from the family.
The fans chanting D'Lo.
He wasn't really a strong heel though, was he? I mean, it was like...
I suppose. Any crippled draws.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched that Brawl for All episode where they covered what those looked like now. It's just... Oh, that was depressing.
That was a really good episode, that. Yeah, he was unrecognisable.
Oh, Jesus, D'Lo! Fuck.
Going up, see?
So fucking unsafe. I wouldn't let him do it a second time. It is bizarre how when you see some footage of like guys who broke their neck taking a powerbomb, like they've landed perfectly flat on their back. Like it's just about the way something's happened. I mean, it's really like weird when you see some ways that you think, how could they have broke their neck?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, when Lesnar done it to Bob Holly, like, I could understand, yeah, that would break it, but, like, I'm sure if you actually saw the Droz footage, it wouldn't look that bad. Why is this still going on?
This match is very long.
It's embarrassingly long.
Fuck's sake, ref.
Gotta protect that chest.
That's not going to be good.
What? I think it actually looks more prestigious with the green leather. Like, I can't...
The gold belt t-shirt.
I've just clocked it there.
Fuck man, I missed the days when Michael Cole was a backstage interviewer.
Yes. Keep him
Do you know what's
segmented.
the funny thing? See, it was the first NXT UK tournament, and Michael Cole was commentating with Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah.
His commentary was really good.
Uh-huh. But to be fair, they're all, worked like puppets from the backstage by Vince, though. I mean, it's not like he's actually there to say what he wants to say.
But that's the thing, is that with this, I got the impression Vince didn't say that. Because he probably wasn't from there, wasn't going to fuck. Mm-hmm. It was almost like he was allowed to just be himself. He was actually quite a good commentator.
Uh-huh. Well, I think he was actually like a radio, jockey at one point before he actually joined.
That's Earthquake, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Him in the Cartman t-shirt. Yeah, it is. Corgan. No idea who the guy in the kind of pink salmon coloured shirt is.
I vaguely remember him, but I don't remember him ever wrestling.
Isn't that Kramer from Seinfeld?
I was going to say, it doesn't look like him for Seinfeld in a gear.
Oh god, don't give him a mic. Might make a racist outburst.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want to give him.
Yeah. here's a pointless bit of trivia. The guy in the tie-dye shirt, Kurgan, he was the giant in 300. You remember he was the kind of the bald one that got beheaded by Leonidas? I'm sure he was also in that Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes film as well.
He was.
Aye.
He was in that.
This is going to be a real 6-star fucking Meltzer in the Osaka Dome fucking match, isn't it?
Definitely. I went to see the Insane Clown Posse a few years ago.
The Juggalos.
I went to see them at the garage.
Did you see there was the thing on Twitter that was waiting around recently? They had to cancel their tours. We will not have one Juggalo harmed.
That's fucking brilliant.
There's something really weirdly compassionate in that. Like, I love it.
Oh, you can't do that.
How did the costume designers even pitch that to John Tenter? Easy now.
I think he's a commentator now, isn't he?
Is he?
He is a strike. He's the commentator for the Japanese market.
Yeah.
Oh, for the pay-per-views.
You could get like the most die-hard WWF fan and like erase this match from history, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like, and nobody would be none the wiser. Like no one would remember this match.
Well, I guess it'd be mankind to have brilliant wrestlers. I'm actually enjoying this match more than the last one. I'm going to type that big guy in at any point. Giant Silver, fucking hell. I'd never have.
Oh, is that who that is? Or did they fly him in from the golf course? like how Taka sold that chop to Funaki. That was a piece of magic.
He's a team player.
Uh-huh.
I think Taka actually fell quicker than the speed of gravity there.
I mean, I don't mean to sound cruel, but Jesus Christ, Giant Silver, if ever there was somebody that needed a mask.
No.
I mean, what a hideous man.
He would have lost the pound.
So realistically, how long do we think it is before Vince goes back to the Madison Square Garden? I mean, he will. We all know he will this year.
I'll give it a good couple of months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's pretty much an abrupt cutaway for that end of that match.
Uh-huh. Oh, thank God.
Fucking hell.
Whenever I see Jeff Jarrett, I think of that line in the rise and fall of WCW commentary. I think it was like Mike Graham or something like that says, "The man who broke 1,000 guitars and never drew a dime." Oh, how unfortunate. R.I.P. Fink.
You think Harold could at least rehearse those crotch chops?
I was going to say the DX shirt with the bow tie. That's one hell of a look.
Yeah.
How does he not know how to do that? Jesus! Does he not watch the product? Oh, fuck if Jarrett wasn't worried beforehand.
You tell him, think. It's never the biggest fan of Jack Jarrett, but I watched him in a table for free.
Uh-huh.
It was him, the Road Dogg, and Elias. He actually came across as a really nice guy.
Ah, it does. To be fair, him screwing Vince, I don't really take an issue with that. I mean, if I had the strap and my contract was up, I'd be charging him millions as well. Is Fink in the Hall of Fame?
He must be.
Surely. I think all three of them are in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure.
I feel really, really uncomfortable with Jim Ross calling Jeff Jarrett Double J.
Yeah, he backtracked very quickly from that Sunny promotion thing that he did on Twitter. Yeah, he went, I was just trying to help a friend out. It's not like I'm horny or anything. You lie like a rug.
He's lying like a government mule.
I so hope this is the next big thing on Twitter, is just Jim Ross's horniness. The man is...
Just getting progressively more and more horny as well. To the point that there's just an angle on like AEW where they get a couple of like cattle prods.
I hope he like accidentally shares a screenshot or something, and like one of the tabs is cowboy hat on X videos or something.
You absolutely know it's going to happen within the next year.
It's very easy to picture him with like a Snapchat, just sending big selfies of the face with the cowboy hat on. So what are you doing right now?
So if I could ever tweet something like that, it also I've been cowboy emoji representing him. It just looks fucking sleazy. He's on his podcast, he's talking Bluetooth, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, he's plugging Viagra, which is very on brand, isn't it?
Jim Ross is like your dad, your uncle or something. You don't want to know this kind of stuff about him.
I will end up buying that book that he's done, the recent one, Black Hat. I'm still waiting till it comes out on audiobook. It probably has come out already, and then I'll buy it. But,
I think it has come out.
Yeah. No, I will get it. For all of his horniness, he's a very interesting man.
I never read his last book, to be fair.
Slobber Knocker.
I think the horniness adds another layer to him.
To be fair, the term Slobber Knocker, we should have known.
Now he just slobbers over knockers.
If you put a UV light under that man's mattress, you probably see his house from space.
Jesus. I was about to say the brim of that man's cowboy hat.
I mean, surely he has to be subscribed to Sonny's OnlyFans. I mean, to give it a shout out in the first place, that he must have known about it and been subbed.
The dollar that man has, he must have his pick of the litter.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised that when that whole Me Too thing was kicking off, like there wasn't just the big wave of divas that came out and said like Vince or Jim Ross or something like that tried to touch them up. You would imagine that there would be a cavalcade like with that industry.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised looking back on it.
I read somewhere like there was a scandal in 1992 of that with Pat Patterson, like he kept touching up the ring boys.
Fuck.
I had that before.
Yeah, apparently Randy Orton's uncle was one of them. You think, why would you send your boy to work for that company?
I was listening to the podcast the other day with some Nails try to get McMahon sharps and some assault.
Aye.
Fucking Nails is the voice of the Me Too movement.
There was one accusation that was brought up in that Titan sinking book Like, there was a female ref during the 80s who accused Vince of, like, pulling his dick out in a limo. Is he wearing, like, those knee pads that kids wear for bikes? I mean, like, that looks...
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure I read somewhere a couple of years ago that Jeff Jarrett was involved in some embezzlement scheme for, like, investing in one of his companies that wasn't Impact.
He's got to have been.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the specifics of it, but I'm sure it was gold that was worthless, or something like that, like he was selling penny stocks.
That sounds about right. I think I remember it.
Uh-huh.
I remember hearing about it. It might have been when he was on TNA and I had absolutely no idea what he was doing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because there was that Simpsons Wrestling Memes page on Facebook. They layered his face over the guy who tries to sell the monorail. It's like, I've sold Impacts to North Haverbrook. I've sold Impacts to oh god, where is it? Fucking Shelbyville.
I'm not looking to show the point that the Godwins been in this match. Have been involved.
That was the Godwins?
Hmm?
Oh my god, I just noticed that now. Well, at least they're not wearing the Confederate dungarees.
Right. Couldn't after a match against the Nation.
For some reason, I went on a big following spree of wrestlers, and I never followed him, but for some reason, Headbanger Thrash followed me back, even though I don't follow him. It's the weirdest fucking thing. Like, I looked at my mentions, surely not. Like, he's not got the blue tick, but it is definitely him.
see that hair match Raven went and had and lost.
What was it? Sorry?
Raven DNA. And they went and cut his hair, but the clippers were too sharp. And fucking shaved them.
Oh.
Jesus. It was horrible.
I hate hair matches. I just don't like the idea of somebody being shaved bald against his will. Yep, the motor's gone.
Fucking hell.
Just thinking of the episode where Mr. Burns starts the baseball team. It's like, Manningley, I thought I told you to trim those sideburns.
Yeah. Did you see that video, Bret Hart? No, it's a comedy sketch, mind you. He's talking about Goldberg and Ric Flair.
Aye.
I don't think so. Ric Flair, do you have a Simpsons figure? I don't think so. And people saying, oh, what's fucking Bret Hart moaning about now? It's part of a comedy sketch.
Uh-huh.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about this match.
Bret Hart's ability to just quietly bury somebody is unparalleled. His ability to just shred somebody verbally. It's a real talent.
I was flying through the network the other week and I watched the dungeon match with Shamrock and Owen Hart.
Uh-huh.
Remember that?
I thought it was Shamrock and Blackman. I don't know if it was... I didn't know
it was Shamrock and Hart. Downstairs was the referee. Because it was in the dungeon. It was in Stuart Hart's dungeon.
Uh-huh. It's just the best IC title design, isn't it?
Yeah.
You must get pretty good about yourself. Well, The Rock is thinking about slapping another Rock on your team. Stupid question. The fact of the matter is that Triple H, you won like a man. The Rock was. Is that what the matter? Tonight, Triple H, New York City belongs on the road.
There's some more cultural sensitivity from Vince McMahon there. It's a pretty massive spot for a relative no-name at the time.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know Mark Merrill was still with the company at this time. I assume he just got shit canned after Mania 14. Man, it is mental to think he piped Sable with that haircut.
That's an incredible haircut.
I was going to say, he looks like, you ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yes.
You know Tom Savini? The guy with the gun for the eye.
He does as well.
If they'd just stuck with the no-nonsense kind of boxer gimmick, he would have been over half.
Yeah, quite a good heel.
I mean, he was legit. I mean, he was... I mean, fair enough, when they did an actual boxing competition, he lost, but, you know...
Who was it they brought Butterbean into the fight?
It was Butterbean and Bart Gunn, who was in the Smoking Guns with Billy Gunn, I want to say.
That was it. He got knocked the fuck out, didn't he?
Yeah. The fucking muddles. But Butterbean fought Mark Merrill before that.
Yeah.
And I can't watch the match.
It was in your house, DX, I'm sure. That was when he did it.
Yeah, that's right. It was a DX one. It was actually quite decent, actually. If I remember.
That footage of Bradshaw getting knocked out is just like jizzworthy, though. I mean, it's just seeing his head rattle, and he doesn't know where he is. It's glorious. It really is. I mean, if ever there was a guy that needed knocked the fuck out.
I was listening to Jim Cornette podcast the other day, and he was talking about Bradshaw and the Brawl for All of that, and he was saying like the idea of Bradshaw being a bully at that time in the company, it wouldn't have been true because he's a mid-carder.
I was going to say he had like no political clout whatsoever.
Aye. Just the idea of it, like, you just kind of see a lot of kind of guys in the locker room putting up with that. Different with his fucking JBL and stuff, but.
Well, there was a really unintentionally hilarious part of that Dark Side of the Ring Brawl for All episode where they're talking about Pierre Carolule, who was like the one-eyed, he had the kind of the pirate gimmick, and he was fighting Dr. Death Stevie Williams, and it was like, I'm pretty sure it was Dr. Death like tore his ACL during the fight. No, it was the match later on with Bart Gunn. He tore his ACL, and Jim said he became a literal one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. I just let out the worst belly laugh. I couldn't.
Oh, I forgot about one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. I'm gonna have to bring that back old school.
Remember they brought that one-legged wrestler in?
Oh, is that Gowan?
Aye, they brought
Did Lesnar not put him in a wheelchair and throw him down a flight of stairs?
Aye. Lesnar fucking murdered him. Had a chance to go at it.
There was no real payoff for Zack, though, was there? It wasn't like there was a story they planned on with him. I'm pretty sure he had that match with Vince, and then that was it.
It's weird. It's like Vince just kind of brought him in to humiliate him.
I'll beat you in a squash because you've only got one leg.
Weak.
I hate seeing the extras walk behind the big gate set. I keep thinking there's going to be a running.
Aye. That's actually quite a fun match.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can work out together. You ever had that strange storyline where Vince McMahon was anti-Sable and when they like flaunting their body and stuff?
Oh,
So why the fuck was he involved in that storyline? Why was it? It was just weird.
I mean, Vince pushed for an incest angle with his own daughter, so I mean.
Fuck aye.
The funny thing is, I don't know if when this was done, whether it was 2003 or 2004, but Vince Russo did like this shoot interview when he was talking about how, like, when Vince pitched the idea to Stephanie, and Stephanie said no, Vince apparently said, "Well, what about Shane?"
Oh my god. I like that's incredible. Some guy in the background just fucking strangling his daughter.
I think this was the best run of like title looks the company would ever have. Like every title just looked on game.
The tag belts are horrific now.
I forgot. Is it still like the big Trojan helmets? Or have they changed them up? Ugh. They changed the IC title, didn't they?
Maybe.
I'm going to be really pessimistic here. Realistically, how long do you think we've got Vince left for?
John's been a bit earlier on.
I think he's going to be about 85.
How do you think he'll live to like his late 90s?
I can believe that as well, because his mother is still alive, believe it or not.
What? Have you seen that?
She's 98 years old.
I can't imagine Vince McMahon speaking to his mum.
No, apparently it is just like the Mr. Burns relationship.
Yeah, I can imagine. And she doesn't call her son Mr. McMahon.
But like Vince is very, very secretive about his past. Like other than he grew up in a trailer park and probably got molested, he doesn't really divulge a lot of his backstory.
The day he fucking knows his biography is going to be incredible.
Absolutely not. He'll never do that.
I think he might.
He's got ADD. He couldn't focus and write a book. I mean, theoretically you could ghostwrite one, but...
Yeah. Get Mick Foley to write it for him.
Uh-huh.
Dangerous fans. These two superstars has been paved is that special trainer for his
forgot they put Owen Hart in the Nation of Domination. Because of course, why not?
Yeah, it makes good sense. They never really used Dan Severn properly, did they?
I'm sure there was some incident I remember him talking about, like before the '99 Royal Rumble. He was talking about really wanting his release, and Vince was like, "No, I'm planning on keeping you for another year." And apparently Severn said, "If you don't give me my release now, I'm going into that ring and I'm shooting on everybody." Which he probably could have, with the exception of Shamrock, because I know he and Shamrock actually had like proper matches in the UFC, and they kind of traded victories. But it would have been funny to watch Severn just like beat the fuck out of everybody.
Aye. Got Shamrock, Severn, and Steve Blackman on it at the same time. Can you imagine that fucking locker room?
How JBL was allowed to run his mouth, I have no idea.
How big the crowd for this?
Oh. Wait a minute, where is this being held?
Exactly, it's like... There's no way they sold tickets for this, surely.
It's a one-match programme. Maybe it was like an actual UFC event and Vince just paid off Dana White for... Very nice of whatever high school let them hold this.
Pretty cool cage.
Shamrock had a really underrated walk, didn't he? Like it's just all strut.
It was like he just came out of WCW Mayhem.
Yeah, I remember in this match again with Steve Blackman and Shamrock, and they had like weapons. Or in the cage.
I mean, if they wanted the big match feel, why not just have Shamrock and Severn again in a shoot? Then there's a legitimate, like, who's going to win? Oof. Was that a receipt?
Yeah, Shamrock's definitely laying it in.
Apparently he did have a reputation for being stiff. I can imagine that.
You've seen his Twitter account recently?
Yeah, I did. It's still on the coronavirus denial, I take it, yeah.
Oh, he's fucking lost the plot.
Uh-huh.
He's arguing with everybody that fucking tweets him. It's hilarious.
It's a shame, he looks so rational here. Shamrock had a reputation for being stiff. It's probably one of the reasons why his first pay-per-view thing was against Vader. In fact, I don't know if we ever get the time, one day we should actually sit down and watch that in your house, because that is one of the stiffest fucking matches I've ever seen.
But that's the thing with Shamrock, he did lay it in, but he took it.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll actually send the clip to the group chat later on, maybe tomorrow, of Vader giving him this lariat. And just how did he not lose teeth over this? Are we sure his batshit Twitter account is not down to CTE?
Perhaps, maybe. Was that chair shot? Was it The Rock? He did the chair shot, Anthony.
Aye.
And it just looked fucking horrendous.
Oh yeah. It is weird how these guys can give one another concussions and bear no ill will.
Yeah, it's weird. And all the fucking draws, D'Lo draws is it's what it hangs, it happens.
I do wonder if this is an actual UFC crowd, or if this is they bought tickets for Summerslam.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Because this has went on about 3 minutes longer than any actual UFC fight. I mean, again, two guys that should have been pushed to the moon.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. How Shamrock never held the big strap is beyond me.
Well, the rumour I always heard of that Jim Ross podcast was that they were thinking about it at the first when he first came in, but because of his UFC commitments, he would be out of the company for X amount of months a year, and they couldn't like put the strap. I mean, of course, nowadays they just give it to Lesnar because fuck it, why not? But
yeah, again, that's the weird thing. They've just given it to Lesnar.
Well, I just remember like when Jericho and Lesnar were world champions like a year ago. They were both world champions in 2002. Like, that's how little the business has progressed in 17 years. I mean, again, it looked like they were making progress with Kofi, and well, now they have done it over at AEW and Moxley. But again, Kofi's reign lasted a month. I mean, it was an embarrassment. I mean, he lost it in like 10 seconds, did he not?
That was fucking how he lost it was terrible.
That stung a lot.
That feels like Vince very begrudgingly. Like, do I have to put the belt on one of them?
Yeah, I know. Was it, when's Kofi again?
Drop it, boy. I mean, coffee.
Just all that Twitter account Vince McMahon Googles.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing, isn't it? It's one of my favourite accounts on Twitter. It's so good. One of my favourite ones is for WrestleMania, and is it does AJ think he's wrestling Michelle McCool?
Yeah, there's a really funny interview with AJ back when he was in TNA, and he's on like some morning radio program, and the guy's like, AJ, what do you think about your large following in the gay community? And there's like this really awkward long pause, and AJ just goes, the gay community?
There's something started happening to Shawn Michaels as well when he posted up Psych Girl. He never realised a big gay following, he done a book signing, a magazine signing, and no guys thumbs up. Probably was not happy.
Well, I mean, if rumour is anything to go by, I'm sure Shawn couldn't have been too surprised. I mean, legend has it, he has swung both ways.
Really? I've not heard that.
Well, particularly, mostly with Vince.
So Kamala went was on a podcast and started talking about Vince McMahon was like fucking molesting other wrestlers. It used to get favours after him and stuff and take pushes, and I'm like, fucking hell, man.
Well, there was one of those, I don't know if you ever watched those kayfabe commentaries on YouTube, but when they were still a thing, but they were doing the Scott Hall one, and this was when they were pitching Goldust and Scott Hall doing a big programme with one another, and Vince went, Scott, let me tell you about my first homosexual experience. And Scott went, what do you mean your first? But there's footage you absolutely have to check out is back in the early 90s, I'm thinking 1992, Vince started his own bodybuilding federation. It's called the WWF. Yeah, the footage from like all the competitors coming out and just posing is still on YouTube. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Vince's commentary is just like he's jizzing for about 3 minutes straight. He's just like, look at that mass! Who'd have thought the UFC guy would have won there?
I think I should bring back the Lions then for have Lesnar have a match.
But realistically, it's the problem with like if they brought in Conor McGregor as well. Like, who could you get to do a programme like that with Lesnar? Like, who realistically can kick his ass?
I was on the bit and mentioned that one. Like Conor McGregor would get signed and put in 205 live.
Hot take, I absolutely hate that belt design.
Yeah, that was fucking ugly.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that does Steve Austin look a little chunky to use a...
Did you ever see the prototype of like the Brahma Bull belt that they were apparently going to use in '99? It looks even worse than that.
I think I remember it. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, it was. It was just like a giant bull's head in gold, and that was it. It was atrocious.
I was in the biggest fan of custom belts in general. I thought the Brahma Bull and the Smoking Skulls were the two of the better ones. They had I didn't like Edge's, Mizzy's, fucking that spinning thing, John Cena.
The modifications on the spinning belt, I've hated. I mean, I hate the spinner belt itself because it's a modification, but the spinning US title, like that John had before it went back to being the normal one, that was all right. It was kind of passable.
That wasn't too bad,
But again, a lot of the fans just assumed that the spinner belt, like John would lose it and it would go back to being the undisputed design. Like they didn't think they were going to be par for the course for about 10 years.
Yeah, because then they went and brought a belt out, but it was the same design, but then the spin.
Aye.
It was fucking hideous.
I mean, it's those footage of the belt designs over the years, like going from the Winged Eagle to the Attitude to the Undisputed to the spinner one to the one they've got now. It's like those paintings by Picasso, like when he started to get Alzheimer's and his mind couldn't like properly put a painting together. It's like it's progressively like just degenerated.
Yes. But a Hell in a Cell match on Raw. Fucking hell, man. Different days.
Just to think, if they had given a gimmick like this to Brody Lee, he probably would have stayed. Like, just give him something.
Why are they all wearing South Park t-shirts?
I was thinking the same thing now.
What is the most 90s thing ever?
can see just how thick that mask is. I bet you it took a lot of abuse. Or it could take a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to, obviously, it being Mick, but...
Oof. I know how uncomfortable that mask must have been as well.
I thought his leg was actually going to hit the side of the dumpster there at one point.
I can tell you from personal experience, wearing that mask is absolute fucking hell.
Yeah, I can imagine it tolerates sweat very well.
It's the sweatiest place in the world.
Oh. I mean, having a nylon mask I can understand for like the luchadors and that. The idea of like a big leather mask,
Yeah, it's like
so,
really.
yeah, kind of defeats the purpose. If ever there was a guy who had an excuse for being addicted to painkillers, you would imagine it would be Mick, and yet seemingly he's had no vices.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's a fair point.
It's a wonder that that man isn't brain dead.
Yeah, a fucking CTE.
I mean, okay, fair enough, like, he's in his 30s there, he's 40, but like, at the age he's at now, like, waking up must just be abject horror.
I guess all DDP yoga is fine.
Has he ever broken his neck? I'm trying to remember that.
I don't think so. I mean, considering that abuse on his body, I think he was relatively injury free.
Uh-huh.
In terms of like anything like
Deep cut.
I don't remember him being injured.
I mean, obviously there's the thing where he ripped his ear off and when Vader broke his nose, but I'm trying to remember, like, I mean, when he fell from inside the cell, that must have done some internal knocking about, surely.
Definitely. Do you remember the storyline in WCW where Vader powerbombed him in the concrete?
Aye, I do remember that. Cactus Jack, man.
They made him kind of like go a bit fucking lippy, so if he got amnesia, he went living on the streets. If it was a homeless sailor.
Uh-huh.
And they go to his house and they speak to his wife, but it's an actress. And she goes to the homeless shelter to try and convince him to come home. And she calls him Cactus. They're fucking laughing.
Wait, hang about, what was this, a handicap match for one tag belt?
I came in supposed to be there, but I didn't actually want to explain why I wasn't.
He was running for mayor in Tennessee at the time.
I think Mankind was supposed to be the heel in that match.
Surely not.
The DX are the good guy here. There's Triple H and X-Packer faces here.
I'm trying to remember, like, who was Mick aligning himself with at that time? I can't imagine he was. Surely not. Oh well, I suppose he was palling about with. Oh, hey, there we go.
I was watching Raw a few months ago now, and Kane came back, but it wasn't in gimmick. They were calling him Glenn Jacobs or something. He's in there. What the fuck?
Kayfabe is dead.
It was fucking bizarre.
The business is cooked.
It was really weird. And then they won the 24/7 championship. But I kept feeling it was Glenn, and I'm like, okay, so we're just fucking getting the last 20 years.
I remember like when they did that real Kane versus fake Kane thing in 2006. You think they should have just, because the whole idea was that Glenn was filming See No Evil at the time, and he was thinking about maybe hanging up his boots and going elsewhere. Whether they wanted to keep the gimmick. So that was an ingenious idea. Like they could have just had a revolving door of big guys play Kane.
Mm-hmm. X-Pac fucking. But I did that with that character Suicide in TNA.
Aye.
I fucking thought different wrestlers played them.
Well, they did it with Sin Cara. There's been like 3 of them. They didn't cut the blackface.
Oh, I can't believe that, man. I gotta do that.
Apparently these guys had a lot of legitimate heat.
Yes.
That looked like a shoot kick to the nuts.
this guy again?
Oh, it's Chris Warren. Hunter can't help himself with these entrances, can he? Even back then. Come on, Jim Johnston, make an appearance.
Oh, this is poor. This is bad.
This is just not good.
That fucking guitar sounds horrendous.
Sounds like he's still tuning it up.
I mean, not to undersell it, but these guys nearly got booed out of the Boston Fleet Centre for singing America the Beautiful like that.
Actually, I'm disgusted at myself that when I was younger and I first heard this, I thought it was Rage Against the Machine.
Aye.
So by that same logic, I thought that guitarist was Tom fucking Morello.
Kind of looks like Seth Green.
Did you say it's Jim Johnson playing the guitar there as well?
I'm sure Johnson was at Mania 14, like kind of the dad rocking out with the younger people, but I don't think he was here.
No, I think it's been
Oh no, I tell you what, there is Jim. Jesus,
Yeah.
he's the one wearing the black. Good grief.
I can't remember what happened, but just for that I hope Triple H loses.
Alright, let's settle the old debate. Is Rock better as a heel or a babyface?
Oh, heel.
Heel, easy.
Not so sure.
No?
He got some of the best receptions as a face I've ever seen.
Oh, definitely. I suppose, I mean, I know what you mean, because you got people's elbow and stuff like that, and
I mean, he's a man of
just,
1,000
He's naturally
catchphrases.
face, but he's really good at being a dickhead.
Well,
yeah.
to
It's
me,
like Edge. It's
the promo in Toronto is the best he's ever been.
yeah.
That 2003 stuff was unmatched. I mean, I know the Canadians are quite easy, like marks, but when he was talking about how the Maple Leaf suck and all that, like, there was not one cheer in that entire fucking arena. It was incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, Edge does being a bastard really well. Same with The Rock.
I think The Rock's like one of the handful of guys there's ever been that can be an amazing heel and an amazing face. Like, there's
Yeah.
plenty of guys that can do one or the other. Like, Austin doesn't work as a heel. Taker doesn't work as a heel. I'm not really sure Triple H works as a face. This business is just never ever going to match the heights of 1998 ever again, is it?
I know.
It's tragic, but I suppose that's just the way of it.
That's from the peak, the only way is down.
You see the video? Triple H the other day, and The Rock sends him a
Yeah,
congratulations message.
it was to watch Triple H's like semi buzz cut. Like, it's a very weird haircut he's rocking at the minute.
It's feels like it's
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call Paul jealous of Dwayne's success, but yes.
definitely. And they've also had an interesting rivalry. Frenemies.
Well, the thing I always heard that, and this was kind of hinted at in Brett's book, was that Dwayne was bullied by Shawn and Paul, like when he was just first starting out in 96, 97. And obviously the minute Shawn went, Dwayne was basically kind of given free rein to rise up, and obviously they were kind of competing for that top spot. It's kind of hard to imagine Dwayne being bullied though.
I know. And Triple H had a lot of success, obviously, but he's never been the guy.
Yeah.
John Cena, Hogan, The Rock, Austin.
I've always seen him as like the kind of the background, like secondary villain. He's like the ultimate henchman, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it was Jericho mentioned that actually in his books. He was saying that's why the things that's always going to Triple H up. As much as a top guy, it was not the guy.
Ah, well, I mean, he's always going to play second fiddle. If it's not to Vince, then it's going to be to Stephanie when he does take the
I mean, it's interesting. Triple H's legacy now is NXT. That's been never been known for.
I mean,
I think that's a bad thing.
I mean, he's still competing, isn't he? I mean, imagine with the amount of injuries he's had over the years. Fair play to him for still going, but I'd have hung up the boots long ago.
I've quite enjoyed his later matches, especially the one he's had to put against like younger guys. Putting everybody over.
It's always, if he has had a great match, I mean, I don't think he's had many, but if he has, the best match I can think of was him, Shawn and Chris at Mania 20. And I do think a lot of that heavy lifting was being done by the other two guys. I mean, all these kind of great matches, they've always had some kind of gimmick. Like with Cactus at Royal Rumble 2000, they're here with like Dwayne and ladders. I mean, they always need some kind of stipulation.
That's a fair point.
Should never have ditched the trousers look. I'm sure I recognise like one of the guys that used to be at the ECW shows that we watched, like the bald guy with the glasses. I don't know if you remember him. He's like very, very tanned. He's in the front row with a red hat. I'm almost positive it's him.
He'll definitely be there. So
This was New York.
The guy earlier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that guy will be there. I think his name is Vlad. Vlad or something. Fucking, it was Jim Russo. Vince Russo wrote an article about him one time in an old Raw magazine.
Uh-huh.
It's like I said, you've probably seen this guy sit in the crowd, and they didn't really give much away about him. But he managed to like fill this column space about him without really saying anything. It was quite an interesting article.
I mean, it's not the fact that they're at every show, it's the fact that they're front row at every show. I've noticed the guy that looks like Mick Foley's there as well. I've just spotted him.
I spotted I called him earlier.
What strings are these guys pulling? I mean, to be that consistent in front row, they have to know people, surely. I mean, I know there's the infamous kid with the bowl cut that screams. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh, aye. You see, I preferred these super fans. Because they fucking just sat in the crowd and watched the match. Unlike these assholes at front, the clown and things like that.
The last big one I can think of was the black guy that pulled the face when Undertaker lost his streak.
Yeah.
That was the last great super fan.
Yeah. It was good. Because you had like fucking Rick the Sign guy, Brock Lesnar guy, and I was like, fuck off, man. And these guys are on Twitter fucking acting like they're part of the show, and it's like, fuck right off.
I thought Dwayne would have been laying them in a bit thicker, given how much these two hated one another, but no, fair play to him, he's very professional.
Yeah. At this stage in Rock's career, it was impossible for him to do anything and not be over.
Uh-huh.
Like, he would just fucking, like, walk about the ring.
Uh-huh. Well, what I was going to say is Paul isn't even like a top guy at this point, so realistically he could have stiffed him and faced no ramifications for it.
Very true.
Best thing that man ever did was grow the handlebar moustache. I don't like beardless Paul. It just doesn't look right. just looks like Blade Trinity era Triple H here.
Fuck, I forgot he was in that.
He's such an underrated seller, The Rock. His selling skills are never really given the due they're worth. In fact, I'm sure I've asked this before, but I'll ask it again. Who sold the Stunner better, Scott Hall or The Rock?
Scott Hall.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's a tough one, but
I like that
the
little...
Scott Hall one.
Mm-hmm.
Just defies physics to me how he managed to get that bounce.
It's the time he spends up there as well. Like, it's like, the minute he hits him, it's like, time just slows down, and then he lands. But I always liked that little back roll that Rocky did after he got it. It was like a backwards handstand. Quite surprised somebody like didn't do a backflip while they were selling it, like one of the cruiserweights. That would have been a very easy thing to.
That would have been a big pop as well.
I'm sure if he ever gave it to like Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, he would have sold it like that.
Oh, definitely. He's a cracking seller. It's actually weird seeing Triple H like in a valiant babyface.
He doesn't suit that face spot whatsoever.
No.
He just looks evil. I can't describe it, but there's something about that man that just screams heel, and something about Dwayne that just screams face. Oh.
It's going smart in the morning.
Fuck, he didn't even hit it backwards like he hit the side of it.
So his ankle almost gets caught as well. Quite impressed with these ladders as well. The fucking proper ladders are heavy.
I mean, if he did break his leg, it wouldn't have been like the worst thing, leg injury I've seen. Like the Psycho Sid spot is the worst, maybe wrestling injury I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible that the book being on kept his leg from that.
Well, no, I say that if it's not Sid, then it's that spot where Benoit went into the commentator's desk back first. I don't know if you mind that. It used to be in like all the kind of health and safety videos that they would do before the shows.
Can't remember that one.
It was a match with Booker T where Benoit was going for the suicide dive, and Booker moved, and Benoit like twisted as he was coming out the ring, and he landed back first, like into that kind of metal rim that they've got at the top of the desk.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal, like. Have you seen Isolation has basically forced The Rock to basically put up 14 videos a day on Instagram? Right now, it's just working out and upload to Instagram seems to be his thing. I mean, well, yeah, that's often.
Trent The Rock and Triple H will have one last match.
Well,
I think at the moment it's the WWE's only hope.
but how sad is that though, that a pair of 50-year-olds having a match is the last hope? Like, it should never have needed to get there. I was going to say, like, Austin versus Taker could be Taker's like real exit, because I know Steve actually has like mentioned to the papers years and years ago that he could actually wrestle one more match if he wanted to. He just hasn't out of. But I mean, I suppose that match with The Rock, he kind of looked at as his last. But again, I'm sure if Taker twisted his arm, we could probably do one last ride.
I think it doesn't matter the fact that the guy just does not stop working. Taker has got to have a proper
Yeah.
last ever match.
I mean, I always said it should have been Kane. Like, that should be it. That should be the penultimate match, because I mean, Kane's whole existence as a character is tied into Undertaker, so they should. That's really the only way they could end it.
Yeah, it makes sense from a storyline point of view.
That feels more unrealistic than Austin at the moment, though.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's the mayor of Tennessee. Yeah.
And I mean, he would have to do it in the mask as well, and the costume, because nobody wants to see corporate Kane.
No. I do not pay to see Glenn Jacobs.
No. I'm sure Austin has been offered, like, over the years, several $1 million to come out of retirement for one match, though. So I mean, again, that probably won't happen either.
Saudi Arabia.
Well. But he wouldn't want to do the job in Saudi Arabia. Like, you can't drink over there.
That's true.
Oh God, can you imagine that?
He's just going to be sitting there with 2 cans of Sprite.
Take his last ever match. Austin's like big comeback of one last match.
Yeah.
With no beer.
With the apple juice in the Jack Daniels bottle.
Oh God, that'd be the worst thing ever.
Fuck it.
Alcohol-free Broken Skull IPA.
Oh, nobody wants to see that. And yeah, I think we're at a point now where even the staunchest Undertaker fan is like, just please leave. Please go. Just quietly into the sunset.
Just retire.
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. I mean, this pandemic might fucking retire him.
It could do. But I mean, it's mentioned in that documentary trailer, isn't it? Like, he does the match, then he goes and has another surgery, then he does the match, and then he goes and has another surgery, and that's been the cycle for about 6 or 7 years now. With the benefit of hindsight, Mania 26, him and Shawn should have walked out at the same time.
Yeah, I like to see the Triple H though. LSL. That's to me should have been the last one, the whole end of an era. The three of them all stunning on the ramp.
Yeah.
And again, doing the favours for Brock meant absolutely nothing. But again, WWE made such a big thing about the streak. Like, for years and years and years, it was like, oh no, it can't be beaten, and then it did go beaten, and then it just went quiet after it happened. It's like, oh well, that's that then.
I remember the year after when he fought Bray Wyatt, and he beat on the ad on the screen like 22-1. It just didn't look right.
No.
And they long go back into wrestling again before that happened. I remember your mate stayed up to watch it. Couldn't fucking believe it. Like, what? It's total shock.
They should have just nipped it in the head early and had Diesel beat him. And many ourselves. That would have.
There's no rumours that Randy Orton was going to end this week.
Yeah, I think there's been several guys that were supposed to do it. I'm sure he asked Mark Henry as well. He was originally going to be the one, and it's just out of sheer respect they said no, we're not doing it.
I remember hearing the Mark Henry one, and I'm like, I don't want to live in a world where Mark Henry ends a streak.
The funny thing is, that would have pushed him to the moon though.
I know.
I mean, he would have got so many world titles. All that sexual chocolate stuff would just as soon disappeared. Although I guess having a guy who screwed an 80-year-old be the guy that ends the streak is, you know. Do we really need a powder in the eyes spot?
Come on, lads, it's 1998 here.
I know. That's such a hokey fucking Bobby Heenan thing.
And it was WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, Fuji.
And he threw salt in his eyes. I'm like, what? just call it powder, lads. If I'm not buying the salt. I spam salt all the time. It doesn't look like that.
It's like the Colombian no salt. My God, what an audience reaction.
Do you remember that reaction he got when he got injured and came back? It's like 8 months.
Oh, aye. That was Madison Square Garden as well, I'm sure, was it, no?
Might have been, because he got injured as a heel, and he came back with a fucking massive face pop. It was really, Triple H was really popular, to be fair.
It's perplexing that, like, whenever the big heel gets injured and then goes away, they're automatically a face when they come back.
No.
It's the same with Jericho. Like, when he left and then he came back in 2007, he got one of the best crowd reactions I've ever heard. That Statue of Liberty graphic is just delicious, isn't it? That really is something. Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this before.
I can't believe SummerSlam's got a director's cut.
Madison Square Garden, yeah, you beat the Rock, you left the Rock in the color of his own damn blood. But that's not what you like Triple H. The Rock is the people's nobody that could ever be the people's champ. Whether you like it or not, The Rock is the people's champ. The Rock is the people's choice. Down the doubt. The Rock is the people's champ.
Interesting, they had the ladder match and the main event back to back. There was no kind of in between match to bring the crowd back down.
They had no Balls Mahoney and Masato Tanaka to really warm up the crowd.
Aye. What best version of Taker's music?
Oh, the headpiece just really fucks it, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not really digging the Doctor Strange cape. The guy sweeping up the glass. I completely forgot like these guys feuded most of 98 and 99.
Yeah. There was one match they had, I think it was in your house type of thing, where both of them fucking bled. And it was really fucking bad blade jobs, especially Austin's. He tried to sell too deep, and it was the end of the match. It was over.
Well, I'm sure it was over the edge 99 when Owen died. I'm sure that was the main event as well. Austin and Taker.
You're right,
It's such a good dynamic they've got as well, with like Austin being the high school jock and Undertaker being the big goth. It's just very
Sends it back to school.
If he wasn't wrestling, he'd be working in a CEX. I don't know how long it's been since you guys have watched SummerSlam 1997, but the match between Brett and Undertaker was just spectacular. I mean, it was really, really good.
It's been a long time, but yeah, I love that pay-per-view in general. It's one of my favourite ones, and that match is excellent.
It's like half an hour long, and it just flies in. I mean, it was really, really good. I keep forgetting that Austin had abs. Like, every time I see his mother, I'm just like, you had a six-pack?
That's in pretty good shape.
You stop
I wonder how stiff Austin actually was, because his shit looks really, really tight.
Yeah, I think a few guys have come out playfully said in interviews with him. They were quite stiff.
His comeback punches were pretty live rounds. I cannot believe they had an entire pay-per-view based around Hell and Kane had nothing to do. That is fucking ridiculous.
They've got the red light in the background.
It's pulsating as well.
Yeah.
I heard on that Bruce Pritchard podcast that when they were making Beyond the Mat, these were the only two guys that they weren't allowed to interview, because they still wanted to protect the mystique of their characters.
That's interesting.
It's bizarre.
Like especially Steve with Undertaker. I suppose in kind of retrospect, I would have been surprised if Austin was even in it because of how big he was. I would always hear them talking about Mankind in it, but
Aye. He has like a brief 5-second walk-on part where he's like shaking hands with Mick, and that's it. I don't think Undertaker's in it at all.
no, I remember. Actually, uncovered in DVD the other day.
But the big director's cut's on YouTube, I'm sure.
Oh, the director's cut.
Aye, I think it's 10 minutes longer or something. I don't think it's a great deal longer, but I think it's there's a few bits and pieces here and there where they interview guys who got shit canned for no reason.
Yep, your man with the red cap and the white belt was there.
It's not his today.
Yes, it's just fun actually.
It's quite a slower pay-per-view than I remember.
Yeah.
I think maybe because 1997 was so good, this maybe seems a bit pale in comparison.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, just the heel taker just isn't really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still kind of straddling the heel face thing here, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, like, what other big guys would they have had for him to face? I'm trying to imagine.
I know.
Because Michaels was gone.
But it was gone.
Yeah. I still think it's the biggest missed opportunity in wrestling that Brett wasn't around from 1998 to 2002. Like,
I know.
just the amount of good matches he could have had. In fact, now I think about it, he should have been the one to end the streak. Although I'm a huge Bret Hart mark, so...
Yeah, I'm the same. I love Bret Hart. It's a shame how his career ended up.
Yeah. That
Was not deserved.
fucking Mongo kicked him in the head. I hate Goldberg because of that. I will never ever forgive that motherfucker. It was quite funny watching Brett just verbally go through him on that Stone Cold Steve Austin thing.
I know. Just don't. I mean, I'm surprised actually.
I'm trying to remember what it was they said. It would have been easier if they just give me a gorilla to wrestle.
He's like Goldberg, Hunter guy who wrestled. This guy's in the Hall of Fame.
To be fair, he did come with receipts though. Like he was talking about, like when he dropped Mr. Perfect on his head and all that. Yeah, that Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle match would have been dimes.
It would have been absolutely fantastic.
Actually, quite sad, but I got to see that.
Can you imagine, like, if Mania 2000, that was it, like the main event, a big 6-minute Iron Man match between Kurt and Bret? That would have tore the house down. Yeah, they really need to hurry up and not release that Taker documentary. I'm getting sick of refreshing the network.
I know, is there any even in the world when they're releasing it? They can't just teased it and that was it.
It's just to be released, and that seems to be the end of it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I think, have they finished that Ruthless Aggression series that they were doing? Because they seem to have capped it at 5 episodes. But at the end of that last episode, they had a whole bunch of interviews, like teasing the next episode or whatever. Is it a new season or?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe then it just seemed quite abrupt how it ended.
I'm struggling to think, like, how many times in his career did the big man actually lose clean?
Yeah. So I always remember up until he won the title at WrestleMania 13. Every title match he had, he seemed to get screwed.
They have to have a big schmoz finish to get the belt off him because they've got that mythos to protect. Bit messy. I'll be damned.
Yeah. It's actually weird to see a match. I guess it is already as well, but it's weird to see a match end with one finisher.
Aye. Oh, that's perfect. It's just completely not sold it. See, I always hate that this is for you spot that they do with the belt. Like, they've just beat the shit out of one another. Why on earth would they be that keen to hand the belt off? Okay, fair enough, it would have made the Taker look weak, but he should have just run off with the strap.
Yeah. A bit funny.
Just give him the microphone. Mine now.
not really even too sure why Kane's there, either. A storyline point of view.
I know, I can't believe he's an extra. That was why when I saw Mankind coming out, I assumed he had a match with him.
It's bizarre.
We have to acknowledge the amount of shite booking that went on during the Attitude Era.
Oh, definitely. So romanticised, people forget a lot of shit was in it.
Nice. Oof, that's it then, huh? Opinions?
What's the great pay-per-view?
I was going to say, with the benefit of hindsight, 1987 just blows this completely out of the water.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a bit weak in parts.
Mm-hmm.
It took a long time to get going.
Aye. It's weird because it probably did a much better buy rate than 97, despite being much worse.
Yeah.
Aye, no worries. Right, guys, I'm just going to boost.
Sure thing.
Right, take care, boys. Catch you next week.